All right, good afternoon, everyone. I am King 5 Meteorologist Adam Claibon. Wanted to get on here and talk about a few things, a big pattern change on the way as we go later into the week, and what that could possibly mean for some possibly wintry weather here in the lowlands. I know some of you probably have seen it on your weather apps. We'll get into the details of that and what we're thinking as to what's going to come together once we head on into that time. But we also wanted to tell you what's going to be happening here over the next couple of days too, because it's still really chilly and we're still locked into this pattern. What pattern? Well, those cold overnights and then the sunny and chillier afternoons. Check out the lows all the way back to the 17th of this month. 32 degrees. We've been below freezing or at freezing every day since then during those morning lows. So it's been a really cold stretch. And again, the daytime highs have been cooler than average to go along with that. Now, they have been moderating a little bit here over the past few days. So we're back in the mid to upper 40s, which does include today, which we are expecting to get back into the upper 40s. But before we get into a little bit more of that, I wanted to kind of talk to you about how we think about potential storms or wintry weather here in the lowlands. And when we look at models, what are we looking for? Well, we're at that time now between 5 to 7 days out where we're kind of looking for trends, whether they're wetter or they're drier, cooler or warmer, where exactly a storm is going to be tracking. So we're at that point right now, and we're going to see if it's less or even more likely that we see this potential for the possibility of lowland snow. As we get towards the middle and the latter part of the work week, that's when we'll start to really begin to pinpoint a bit more as far as the precipitation type and what day we could see it on. And then once we really get into this upcoming weekend, that's when we'll really be able to really hash out the fine details of that. Again, we're still a few days out, so we're going to see how this all does come together. Wanted to show you outdoors right now because the colder air mass has kind of been in place here recently. Bellingham, clear skies there, a lot of calm water too. Same out here towards La Push. Very clear sky, high pressure is dominating the area, and I wanted to point out what's happening here in Tacoma. But as you can see off into the distance, we have that haze kind of showing up there around the base of the Cascades. What is that? Well, that's those of us who are warming up our homes using a fire and wood. Those of us just driving, sometimes those exhausts can get trapped in the atmosphere when we don't really have systems coming through to help mix up the air mass. So that's what's been happening. You can kind of see it here looking at our Everett camera as well. So that might impact a little bit of our air quality. More on that here in a second. Temperatures, though, have been cooler than average. Again, mid to upper 40s. Typically, we should be around the 50-degree mark during this time of the year. And looking at your winds, you can see those are pretty light right now, between 5 to 10 miles per hour. Could lead to some fog tonight, and with those colder temperatures, we'll keep an eye out for some freezing fog in a few spots. But here's the air quality. You can see that around moderate levels. Nothing really too extreme as far as a poor air quality around our area, but something that is being hampered or at least being impacted a little bit here as we make our way throughout these next couple of days, as we still keep that very stagnant air pattern in place. Now, radar, I wanted to show you big picture how we have this big area of high pressure that's dominating this coast, and we do expect that to move on out of here. We're going to see that areas of low pressure will start to work its way up and over that ridge, and eventually it will work its way south out of Canada, and that's what's really going to set us up as we go later into the week for the potential for maybe seeing some wintry weather here in the lowlands. But first, I wanted to show you what's happening here for the next couple of days. Yeah, a lot of clear skies. We talked about some of that fog developing. Here we are late tonight into early tomorrow morning around Pierce County, Thurston County, the southern part of the Kitsap Peninsula, and even parts of Mason County as well. Maybe seeing some of that fog to start off tomorrow morning, and some areas too farther north across northwest interior. Should it be a widespread issue, and we'll just keep an eye out for the off chance of maybe some of that becoming freezing fog, especially the bridges and overpasses. Those are going to be the areas that have the best likelihood if we are going to see that of some icy areas. But once we head into the day tomorrow, it's going to be almost a repeat of what we saw today, as we'll see more of those clear skies and those chilly afternoon temps. Now, let's get into what's happening later this week. This is Friday at 10 p.m., and you can see that we are beginning to see this system work its way south. Now, I wanted to point out a few things right here. What you're seeing, you're currently seeing this big area of blue showing up here across areas here of British Columbia. That's right there. You're going to see that eventually head its way farther to the south. Let me erase that for you. That's going to head farther south, and once that does head south, we're going to see that that will allow some of the cooler air to work its way into our region, heading on into the Saturday and Sunday. And what we're also going to see too at the same time, this is going to set up the stage for things becoming a lot more active. That big ridge of high pressure, some of those oranges and reds that you're seeing farther south across California, that's heading out of here, and things will become a lot more wet and rainy. Now, as we head into Thursday, 9 p.m., you can see showers beginning to work their way in. And really Friday, here we are at noon at that point, I think that's going to be the wettest day that we're going to have with this event heading later on into the week. It's going to be wet. There's going to be a lot of rain, but we're just talking about rain on Friday. As we head on into Saturday, and you can see this model, now this is the European model, showing where we do have some mixing trying to take place in maybe some of those foothill communities, but a lot less moisture and really not much to be worried about when it comes to wintry precipitation. We will get a good dose of some wintry weather up across the Cascades with this, so that will be great news for building some of that snowpack again. And then you can see heading on into Sunday, generally here in the lowlands, you're talking about just rain here on the European model. And then as you head up into the foothills, more so into the mountains, you're talking about snowfall that will be falling here. But I want you to pay attention to what's happening. Again, the pattern that we're in is going to be a colder and a wetter one. Heading on into Monday, it does show some moisture being thrown up into this cold air, and we do have the opportunity, at least on the European model, this is a week out, of seeing maybe some wintry weather here in the lowlands. Now, this is what we're seeing, and this is definitely one of the warmer solutions that we've been seeing within the models. Now, I wanted to take you to what's happening on the GFS model, the American model, and that shows that we are going to see, again, rain. So the high confidence in that happening, being a wet and soggy Friday, albeit it looks like a chilly and wet day on Friday, but keeping it all in the form of the liquid here in the lowlands. Into the Cascades, we'll get a good dose of some snow up across the mountains there. And then we head into Saturday, and it is a colder solution. It does show the possibility of maybe some snow popping up here in the lowlands heading into Saturday. And then also into Sunday, you can see a little bit more of that as well. So these are all things that we're keeping in mind, and I wanted to go back to this because I do want to stress this is still about 5 to 7 days out. So we're still just kind of looking at more of what the trends are in the models. Are they turning colder? Are they turning wetter? Are they turning drier and warmer? That's all up for consideration for us as we head on into the end of the week. So we'll continue to fine-tune those details for you, and as we get closer to, I would say, Thursday and Friday, we'll be able to tell just a bit more whether we're dealing with a potential wintry situation here in the lowlands or if we're just going to keep a lot of that into the mountains. But either way, confidence is going to be really high that it is going to cool down. So those snow levels go up from around 10,000 feet or go down from about 10,000 feet here early into the week, down to around 2,500 feet by Thursday, and then even closer to 1,000 feet by Sunday. And what will that mean for high temperatures here in the lowlands? Well, average high coming in at 49 out at SeaTac Airport. We're expecting those numbers to stay cooler than normal here for the next few days, but they're really going to take a plunge as we head into the weekend. Sunday down to 39, expecting a high of 36 heading into Monday, and it doesn't stop there. As we continue on into next week, 6 to 10 days out, we're talking about highs in the mid-30s on the 3rd, the 4th, only up to 37. Then we start to get back out of that deep cool and that deep chill as we head on into late next week with highs, it looks like, trying to bounce their way back up to around the 40-degree mark. All right, and another thing, just for those of you who are probably a little sad that it might not happen this week, I wanted to show you again what the trends are looking like here as we head on into the beginning of February. We're seeing, it looks like the Climate Prediction Center is indicating that things could and should be wetter than normal here across our part of the country and cooler than normal at the same time. And of course, when you mix those two, sometimes you can get the opportunity of getting some of that snow here into the lowlands. Here's the forecast here for today. Temperatures in the mid to upper 40s. We're going to see lows tonight drop down back below that freezing point yet again. A lot of 20s out there, even some mid to lower 20s for early tomorrow morning around Thurston County and parts of Mason County. Here's your 7-day forecast. First half of the week continuing to stay dry. Second half of the week, we see that pattern change and things do become a lot more wet. Now, of course, we're going to continue to keep you updated on this as we go throughout the week. But if you were with us earlier into the month, we were kind of hinting at the possibility of seeing this big pattern change at the very end of the month of January and heading into the beginning of February. So things starting to come together when it comes to that. So again, we'll keep you posted. Of course, continue to keep an eye out for different updates from us, and then also make sure that you stay warm here over these next few days as we see more of those overnight lows below freezing. Take care.